What's up, everybody? Giancarlo here with Bad Beats. Today, I'm just kind of putting this video out. I've been playtesting the next set a little bit. Very excited for the next set to come out. I haven't been putting out content as regularly lately. I've just been a little bit busy with work and school and Dragon Ball. And anytime I'm playing Dragon Ball, I'm kind of just playtesting for Miami, which is in a couple weeks. So I haven't had a lot of time to just sit down and get videos out. But that being said, I have been messing around with the next set a little bit. I'm going to focus more on the next set once Miami's over because, we're going to have regionals coming up and I'm going to be playing probably something new at a regional. I like to play new decks. I don't like to stick one deck too long unless it's like, really, really, really good. I tend to get bored, right? So anyway, yeah, like the title suggests, bro, Android 13, kind of nice, bro. I'm digging this leader a lot. It's pretty cool. I think as a character, 13's a little underrated. I always thought he was pretty cool. His movie is good. And so it's cool to see him getting a little bit more support. Now, he's gotten support in set 9, and we are playing some of those cards, but pretty sure he just flew under the radar then as well. You know what I mean? So the leader is when you swing, you discard a green or yellow android, draw 2 cards. His Awaken is at 5 life. He's a draw 1 and tap 1. So Awakening at 5 life is nice. It kind of just lets you play a little better. I've noticed a lot of leaders are Awakening at 5 from the new set, and it's interesting that they're doing that. Just being a 15k maybe one turn earlier is just nice. Now, he doesn't really, his draw on the backside isn't as good, so you're going to have to kind of ration, like, when do I want to Awaken? Do I want to swing first? How do we want to do this? Stuff like that. On the backside, it's, attack, draw. Once per turn, when one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode is KO'd by a skill, they discard 1 card in their hand. So he is basically a +2 leader on the back. When he swings, he draws, and then once per turn, you can pop one of their cards and they discard 1. That also happens during both players' turns. So if you find a way to destroy something on their turn, which of course we play multiple options of the deck to do that. When you destroy something on their turn, they also discard a card as well. So again, turning, this essentially, like, for each round of turns, he's like a +3 leader. So I think that's pretty nice. And then once per turn, you warp a 14 and a 15 from your drop to give your leader or an android +5 for the battle. So he essentially combos with 1 card for free. I do like that effect. It's not for the turn. If it was for the turn, I would be all about this leader. Just having a 20k leader that discards cards from your opponent's hand once per turn, that'd be sick. But he only does. It's only for the battle, which isn't bad. I mean, you never know when that's going to come up. So getting into the deck, right? This is a successor deck. So a lot of the choices I've made are kind of just to make successor work, if that makes sense. I'll explain what that means. Really the unison choice is the one that I see a lot of people not making. The new Android Super 17 unison, I honestly just don't think is good. I don't think you need to send androids to your grave. You will have androids in your grave. You know what I mean? So for example, your leader has to have a 14 and a 15 in the drop to Awaken, but you play this android troop card, which is you just put it in the drop to draw a card. It's basically an upstart goblin, right? So it's like all you really have to do is draw this, and your Awaken is online, and you're gonna mull for this card specifically. This card and Stoic Fist are cards you mull for in order to trigger your Awakening. So it's like you don't need the unison. Essentially does nothing the whole game, and then it's very easy to kill. It's like it has 5k power with 3 markers. That's honestly just super easy to kill because even 1-drops can attack it. So it's not a unison I'd put a lot of stock into in terms of survival. So not only, we know Demigra's good, Demigra has a lot of survivability, but it also lets you play Frieza. Frieza, it can trigger on your opponent's, like, it does trigger your opponent's turn, right? Now, whether the card is in rest mode or not is kind of 50-50, right? Frieza's a counterplay, so if they play a card, you can kill something that's rested, make them dump, but really you're probably just going to play the card that you're going to KO the card that they play, right? Because it's a counterplay. You're going to counter it on the card they want. So it's probably not going to be a +1, but it is good enough. Obviously, Frieza's really good. It kills most of the cards in the format, and there's no reason you shouldn't play Frieza. It's also a 5, right? So the main successors that we're going to try to play are 7 cost. Because they're 7 cost, we need odd numbers. So we have the 5-drop Frieza, which makes it much, much easier to successor for a 7-drop, because all you have to do is play a 2-drop, which we play really good 2-drops in the deck, in order to combo with that Frieza to then bring out our best card, which is our 13. Best card not including the secret rare. So again, your leader needs 14s and 15s, so we are playing two of each 1-drop. The 14 is look at the top 5, add a green or yellow android with a cost of 4 and shuffle your deck. Not super relevant. The best card I think it adds is either this 2-drop or this Stoic Fist. It's really just a name. It's not a bad card, but you're really only going to play it as a 1-cost if you're trying to fix your successor. But again, it's just a cycle. You're definitely playing this on turn 1. You know what I mean? And then the 15 is if your leader's 13, when you play it, choose one. So you either draw a card or your opponent chooses one of their battle cards, switches it to rest mode, and if it has an energy cost of 2 or less, KO it. So summon it, kill their little 1-drop or 2-drop, and then your 13 triggers, making them discard a card. Again, there are just ways you can manipulate, their board in order to trigger this, but he's just, again, good either way. And again, being 15, that's the name you want. So, yeah, we'll get into Upstart Goblin. Again, if you played Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what Upstart Goblin is. Deck thinning is deck winning. Discard this card from your hand and draw one. Really doesn't do much, but it counts as both names, so it works with everything in your deck, and then it just cycles. So this is like what you want this card to do. Stoic Fist there's like 3 cards in this deck that I was like, okay, this deck is playable. I was on the fence about this leader as a whole, but Stoic Fist is honestly one of the cards that made me want to play the deck. I just think it's so good. So if your leaders are 13, you discard this card and a 15, choose up to 2 cards in your life, add them to your hand, draw 1, and then your opponent discards a card. So in terms of like economic value, you're dumping 2 to +2. You know what I mean? Now, in the later game, when you're at 4 life, you're probably not going to take 2 life. But when you're at 7 life, which is probably like turn 2, because your opponent's going to swing with their leader, you can just use this, discard 2, take 2 life, draw 1, they dump 1, you awaken, you're immediately on your backside, which means you start discarding cards out of your opponent's hand. Very nice. You know what I mean? This card is absolutely amazing. The other 2-drops we play is the 14 and 15 target acquired. So this is one of the new cards from the new set. So if your leader card is a yellow android, reduce the combo cost of this card by 1. So this 14, 15 and this successor 17, they have the same effect, right? If your leader card is a yellow or an android, reduce the combo cost of this card in your hand by 1. So these essentially combo for free as green yellows, which is why we're not playing Giro Super Combo. I don't think you need Giro Super Combo in this deck. Again, you don't need to send cards to your drop area. You will have them just the way the deck works. You'll have them. And, you can still activate your arrivals basically by comboing 1. So that's a really nice effect. Opposite of that is, auto if your opponent has 2 or more energy. When this card is played, look at the top 10 cards of your deck. Get a 13 with 4 or less among them. Play it with its skills negated. So you play 2 targets for this, but really there's only 1 real target, which is the mission begins. This guy, the other 13 I'm playing is you want to play him from hand once they clear your board. He's kind of the later game choice in my opinion. When you're obviously any hand destruction deck is going to be a grindy deck, and they're going to clear your 4-drop eventually. Like, this dude is not going to stick on the board forever. Really, he'd probably stick for 1 turn if you really think about it. And so once they clear him, you just play this for 3 energy to go right back into a 7-drop. It can be really awkward to get these successors. You only play them for 2, but with all the removal right now, it's really awkward to get 7 energy on the board. You know what I mean? So, or it can be. We play a bunch of cards to get to 7, but we're never guaranteed to just have 7 on board. So by playing a couple of this 13, it just makes up for them clearing your board, and you just slam down your 7 basically for 3 energy, which is nice. This dude works amazingly with your leader. So energy exhaust, unique, double strike, 20k. Okay, so this is the arrival you want, right? This is along the lines of Cooler, Gogeta, Beerus, the 1 energy, 20k double strike arrival. This, I think, is the baseline for arrivals. If you're not somewhere along those stats, your effect has to be amazing. Something like the Majin Buu Hercule. Like that is an example of not having these stats, but still being playable just because of how many good effects it has. So at the start of your opponent's turn, they choose two of their battle cards and KO them. So like every turn, destroying two battle cards is a huge source of removal. Um, Not only that, but it says at the start of your opponent's turn, right? So their battle cards are still rested because this happens before the charge phase, which means they don't untap their battle cards, which means it triggers your leader. So at the start of your opponent's turn, they lose two battle cards and they discard a card. So again, that's huge value. Basically, you're not investing anything into this effect outside of summoning the card, and then you get a +3. You know what I mean? So in terms of just value, that's very huge. Now, his second effect, activate main for 1, send this card from your drop to your warp. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards and an energy cost of 3 or less and KO it. I mean, again, that's just a pretty good effect, right? Anytime this goes to the drop, which again it will, your opponent is incentivized to remove this battle card because of how good it is and how well it works with your leader. They're going to kill it. So then you can just use its ability and kill another 3-drop, maybe making them discard a card in the process. I think that's absolutely nuts. I like that a lot. Get into this Bardock real quick. So if your leader is yellow and your opponent has 3 or more energy, if a copy of this card is not in play, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, switch it to rest mode, and then play this card from your hand. So the biggest reason you play this is because it's a 0 mana 2 cost, right? So if on my opponent's turn I Frieza, on my turn I can play this for 0, and then I can just immediately success her into one of my 7-drops. And that's the main reason. And then because you're switching something to rest mode, when you KO it with one of your 7-drops, they're going to discard a card from their hand. So you notice I'm not playing Bergamo in this deck. This is version 2, right? Like I said, I've been playtesting for Miami a lot, and so I haven't been focused on the future of cards. There's obviously more cards I need to test in the build. This is not the end-all be-all. This is kind of just an overview of the deck. So again, there's more cards we're going to try in the future, right? But anyway, so 2, 5, that's 7. Make it easy to Arrival. Man, where else do we talk about? We play 3 Nimbus, 3 of the new Frieza's army. If your leader is a mono yellow, negate the attack, then play a 10k token. It gains blocker for the turn. If your life is at 5 or less, you can activate this card's counter skill by adding 1 card from your life to your hand instead of paying the cost. So these cards are amazing. Every color right now has one. I think every color except for black has one revealed. Hopefully black gets one, but I think all of these cards are nuts. They're definitely gonna make you rethink how you're playing aggressively, because putting your opponent at 2 life is no longer like, if you're gonna have to overextend to put your opponent at 2 life, well then they can just negate for free and play a blocker. So, or even like sometime in the mid game, if I'm at 5 life, there's no reason I'm not just going to negate your attack, because it'll put me at 4 life, triggering my Awaken, triggering my super combo in most decks, and then also just getting a blocker, which is, I mean, yeah, bro, that's just nice. And then you're just going to block the next attack. So you're essentially, for 0 energy, you get a +1 and you stop 2 attacks. So, I mean, it's just... they're just amazing cards. Now, in the later game, that 1 life can be very costly, and then this costs 2 energy. So, these are better in the mid to early game, in my opinion, which is why I'm only playing 3. Once you're at something like 3 to 2 life, it can be very risky to take that life. You're going to have to play very smart defensively to get the best out of this card in the late game. But even with that being said, I think that it's amazing. The super combo we're playing is Counterblast. Now, again, we don't have to play Giro, because I don't think Giro really gets you any value in this deck. The best card Giro can send to the drop, I think, is the Saiyan Instincts. We can't play Riberian because we're not a green leader, even though we're a green-yellow deck. Riberian requires a mono-green leader. Or not, maybe not mono-green, but just a green leader. So, I mean, I don't know, you know what I mean? There's some androids that have graveyard synergy, but I just don't think they're good enough for the strategy that I'm going for. But anyway, if your leader is yellow and you have 4 or less life, choose 1. Draw a card when this card is comboed, or during your turn, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in rest mode, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less in rest mode and KO it. So in the later game, they're going to have 5 cards in rest mode. they are, you know what I mean? So you can just combo with this, pop one of their dudes. You attack one of their battle cards, combo with this, pop a second battle card, draw your opponent discards one because of their leader effect, and then they lose their additional battle card. So again, in terms of a grind game, this is just the utility type of card you want. Either it can draw multiple cards. When you play it, it also draws a card, right? Or no, I'm sorry, it doesn't draw a card. When you play it, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. So you can play it for one. Let's say they have a problem battle card that they don't want to attack with. You know what I mean? There's several examples of that. You know, I mean, even in the mirror match, this is a card that I'm probably not attacking with. So I can summon this, turn something to rest mode, attack a battle card. Again, like I said, pop the second battle card, and then just gather advantage through the plays, right? So that's just a pretty good example of that. And again, I don't think Giroux is necessary because we have cards we can just combo with for free anyway that are dual color. We're not playing that much Arrival in the deck. We're playing 6 Arrivals. And so there are other really good. You have Riberian and 18 Krillin. Those are both pretty good Arrival cards. Those are just things we're going to have to test. You know what I mean? We are playing double of the Broly. This card is great. So when this card is played, or when this card is switched to active mode by a skill, you're never going to do that. It's just when it's played. Choose one battle card with an energy cost greater than or equal to your opponent's energy and KO it. So this is, you know, every deck cheats out stuff right now, right? Every deck is just cheating out big cards. This immediately just clears it. Or if they're playing on curve, this clears the card on curve. Or you can draw one card and choose up to one of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. So this switches energy to rest mode. This switches attackers to rest mode. Unison, leader, literally anything. It just draw one and then create advantage. So, but again, the big reason we play this is because it's a 6-drop. We're trying to successor odd numbers, but then our biggest successor is an even number, right? So having like Frieza and Bardock and a 4-drop, you know what I mean? That's only 11. So it can be awkward to play this Cell. So we're fixing that by just playing Broly, making it even, right? So you can play the 2-drop, search the 4-drop, play Broly, and then you immediately have Cell. Obviously, there's other ways too, right? You can have your 7-drop and you can have your Frieza, which is 12. So again, when playing successor decks, you have to do successor math, and that's a good example. Getting into the successor cards, the first one is the cores of the trio: deflect, triple attack, successor for 2, 1 and 1. If your leader is a yellow android, reduce. Yeah, we already said that, right? So anyway, free combo. If your leader is an android 13, when this card attacks, your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and KOs it. So he's a 30k triple attack, which means he can KO up to 3 battle cards, you know, depending on how many your opponent has. And then he's just pushing damage, you know what I mean? So, you know, we know from Dark Broly, your opponent's not very likely to out-combo a 30k more than once per game. So this guy is definitely pushing damage if they don't have negates. And then by clearing battle cards, he's creating advantage that way. And then if he makes your opponent discard a card, he's creating advantage. So very strong card. We're only playing 2. You know, he's just not the better one. The better one is the Adamantite Avenger. This one is better in my opinion, right? So same successor cost. He's a double strike 30k. Once per turn, if your leader card is Android 13, choose 3 Android cards in your drop area. Place them at the bottom of your deck in any order. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, KO it. Then your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and places them in the drop area. So that is a mandatory cost. You do have to have 3 androids in your drop area. Again, in playing this deck, I have a crap ton of androids in my drop area for the whole game, simply because you're discarding with Stoic Fist, you're discarding with 14-15, you're comboing, your opponent is clearing your battle cards. There's just not a shortage of android cards in your drop area at any time. You pop a card in rest mode, which triggers your leader, and then they choose 2 cards in their hand and discards it. So this guy his activate main is you pop a battle card and then they discard 3 battle cards, 2 for his effect, 1 for your leader. That's pretty nuts for a once per turn effect. If he survives the turn after he's played, you're probably going to win the game, because at that point he's gained like a +7, not even including his attack, which they're incentivized to negate because it's a 30k double strike. If they're at a low life total, they're going to want to negate the attack. So it just makes sense that this is the better one, in my opinion, right? Yeah, just it's like a +4. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason you're not going to play a +4. And then, of course, we're playing Celzeno, the big dog. Not much to say about Celzeno. Y'all probably know what it does by now. At least you should. He's Celzeno, bro. You're gonna, any game you're playing Celzeno, there's a very strong chance you're winning the game. If you're not overextending and playing poorly with it, you're gonna win the game when you play it. Whether you're at 5 energy or not, when he comes down, very strong chance you win. So, all that being said, man, I like this deck a lot. I think it has a lot of potential. I've been messing with 16 and 21 as well. A lot of good Android support in this pack. I'll probably have like a 16 video up, in the next few days. I do have time this week, so I want to produce a little bit more content for the channel. It's been a little dry lately, but thanks for watching. If you guys have any ideas about the build, feel free to hit me up. Like I said, this is not the end all be all build. It's just like my version 2. So we're gonna hopefully play this at some regionals, man. Hopefully make it a little better. But all right, thanks for watching, y'all.